Hello, students. Today we'll begin with the fifth part of the chapter, The Tiger King of Vistas book, which is written by Kalki. In part number 4, we had discussed and we had come to know that in that he got married. The Tiger King got married, and he was in his own kingdom. He first killed 70 tigers, and while in his father-in-law's kingdom, he was able to kill 29 more tigers, and that brought to the tally of about 19 to 99 tigers, and there was still one more tiger left to complete the tally of 100 tigers. Now here today we'll begin, and now we'll begin with the part fifth, which is the last part of this chapter, and we'll read it and we'll have the explanation of this whole part. Now it begins with the Maharaja's anxiety reached a fever pitch when there remained just one tiger to achieve his tally of 100. So the Maharaja's anxiety, the Maharaja's worry or concern reached his utmost very high when there actually remained just one tiger to complete his tally of 100, and he had one thought during the day, and the same dream even at night. By this time, the tiger farms had actually run nearly dry. The tiger farms means all the different forests had actually run dry at that particular even point of time, both in his kingdom and his father-in-law's kingdom. So by this time, the tiger farms had run dry. Even in his father-in-law's kingdom, it became impossible to locate tigers anywhere. It wasn't possible to locate tigers anywhere, whether in his kingdom, whether in his father-in-law's kingdom. Yet only one more was actually required to complete that particular tally of 100. And if he could kill just one single beast, if he could just kill one animal, if he could just kill one tiger, if he could just do so, so the Maharaja would have no fears left. So we come to know that he was fearing of his death coming close, and this was the last moment which, according to the king, he was fearing, and that was told by the astrologer, state astrologer, that it might be easy to kill 99 tigers, but what about the 100 tiger, he said. And here in part number 5 we see over here that he has just left with one tiger in his tally law, and then we come to know that in such a situation, then when he would be killing this 100th tiger, he would have no fears left in his heart. Now he could give up tiger hunting at all altogether. He would leave hunting, but he had to be extremely careful with that last tiger, simply because of that prediction that was done earlier by the state astrologer. Now when moving ahead, so what had the late chief astrologer said, my dear students? It's given away. Even after killing 99 tigers, the Maharaja should be beware of the 100th tiger. True enough. It was really true enough. This was the last tiger that was left, and 99 tigers he had killed earlier. And so it was this last particular tiger. True enough, the tiger was a savage beast. Savage means wild, beast means animal. So the tiger is generally a wild animal. After all, one had to be wary of it. One has to be continually cautious of such a wild animal, such a wild, ferocious animal. A person should be careful about it. But where was that 100th tiger to be found? Whereas that he could actually get that 100th tiger, it seemed easier to find a tiger's milk than a live tiger. It seemed as if there's a chance that a person might can have a tiger's milk, but certainly if a living tiger is certainly something out of the question. It seems at that point of time to the Maharaja, it seemed as if there were no tigers left. Now, thus the Maharaja was sunk in gloom. He fell into great sadness over there. Gloom means sadness. But soon came the happy news which dispelled the gloom. So there was a happy news which actually dismissed the whole sadness over here. In his own state, sheep began to disappear. So there were sheep over there in his kingdom, in a hillside village, and there he saw actually that he came to know that the sheep were continually disappearing. So if the sheep are continually disappearing, it means ki there is a chance that either some of the other person might have stolen the sheep, or there is a chance probably might someone would have eaten them, and probably a beast. It could be seen so. So it looks as if this is the work of a tiger, and it was first ascertained, it was first discovered and certified that this was not the work of Khadir Mia Sahib or Veerasamy Naikar. These were actually people who are very glutinous people, who were actually people who would eat sheep, and they would relish that. And that is why it was first ascertained, it was first discovered that probably it might not be the work of Khadir Mia Sahib and Veerasamy Naikar. Both were well known, both were famed of the ability to swallow sheep whole. Swallow sheep whole means to finish, to relish, to eat and finish the sheep. So they could eat the whole sheep. It means they were really very glutinous people, and these were people who actually have a lot of food. They used to had a lot of food comparatively to just normal eating. These people used to eat more. Surely a tiger was at work. So it was certainly, when it was ascertained, it was actually discovered and certified that this is not the work of these two people. So it was the time now to move ahead with the next thing, and that is why surely a tiger was at the work. It means if these people have not done in this area, it means certainly it is the work of the tiger. So the villagers ran to inform the Maharaja and told Maharaja. The Maharaja announced a 3 years exemption from all taxes. Exemption, my dear students, release or freedom from the taxes of 3 years. It's written exemption from all taxes for that village, and set out on a hunt at once. 3 years exemption of taxes which were on the people of that particular village. So exemption of 3 years taxes removed, we see over here. Now the tiger was not easily found. It was not easily found, and it seemed as if it had wantonly, it had deliberately hid himself in order to flout the Maharaja's will. Flout means in order to disregard, in order to dishonor, in order to mock or disobey or violate the Maharaja's will, it seemed actually. Now the Maharaja was equally determined in such a situation, and he refused to leave the forest, and until the tiger was found. That was his thought, that he would actually leave this particular forest only when he'll be able to find that particular tiger over there in the village. He would be able to kill the tiger, and then he would be over with this tally of killing of 100 tigers. Now, as the days passed, the Maharaja's fury means anger. So the Maharaja's anger actually, and obstinacy means stubbornness, actually mounted alarmingly. Mounted means it rose alarmingly, and he got very, very angry. And in such a situation, many officers lost their jobs. Many officers who were actually in the work to find the tigers, to tell the king, keep at this particular place there's a tiger available, and the king used to go over there and hunt the tigers over there. And here we come to know many officers had actually lost their jobs. One day, when his rage, when his anger was at its highest, the Maharaja called the Diwan. The Maharaja called Diwan over there and ordered him to double the land tax forthwith. Now, earlier we came to know that the people of the village actually were exempted from 3 years of taxation. Now we come to know that he doubled the land tax of the same village people. So he, in a fury, in an anger, he did so, and land tax forthwith. Forthwith means immediately, and it was done immediately. And so the people of that village had to face land taxation doubled. Now moving ahead, coming on page number 15, the people will become discontented or dissatisfied, then our state too will fall prey to the Indian National Congress. Fall prey means fall hunted into the hands of the Indian National Congress. As you people know that before Indian National Congress was still party over there in India, and the party was fighting for the independence of India and continually helping the British government in the proper functioning of the government and how the works should go on in India. So we come to know over here कि in such a situation, if he is certainly people will feel discontented. The Diwan said, so that there is a chance. He told the king that there is a chance that the whole state can go into the hands of the Indian National Congress in such a situation, because Indian National Congress was against the thing of taking away the kingdoms and zamindari system from the people. So that is why. Now moving here, in that case, you may resign from your post, said the king. The king was angry again, and this time the anger was upon the Diwan, the minister, and we come to know that in that case you may resign. The king wanted a resignation from the Diwan. Now what should the Diwan do in such a situation? So the Diwan was confused and he wanted to do something, because if he did not do something, either he would be killed or he would be thrown away from the job. So Diwan went home convinced, he was completely certain that if Maharaja did not find the tiger soon, the results could be catastrophic. Catastrophic means disastrous, miserable, or terrible, my dear students. So the results could be really very disastrous in such a situation for him, especially, and he felt life returning to him only when he saw the tiger which had been brought from the People's Park in Madras, and kept hidden in his house. So he actually felt a better. The Diwan actually felt relief when he actually saw the tiger which was brought from the People's Park of Madras or Chennai. My dear students, this People's Park is a very old recreational park over there in Madras or Chennai, you can say. It's a recreational park which was constructed between 1859 to 1861. So in that moment of time it was constructed, and from there the Diwan found that there's a tiger over there, and he took the tiger from over there. And again, I would go again and again. I had been telling earlier also, this is all just fiction, this is all just story. If there are some things which are connected, which seems connected to the history, or which seems looking like more real, but it's still really fiction, my dear students. So it was nothing so that it ever existed, such a Pratibandhapuram kind of kingdom and such a kind of king ever existed, my dear students. It was not so. So now moving in, my dear students, at midnight, when the town slept in peace, actually the Diwan and his aged wife, his old wife, dragged the tiger to the car. They both dragged the tiger to the car and shoved it into the seat. Shoved means pushed roughly into the seat of the car, and the Diwan himself drove the tiger. And the Diwan himself drove the car, straight to the forest where the Maharaja was hunting, and he took the tiger over there and he wanted to place it in front of the king so that he could kill it actually. So when they reached the forest, the tiger launched its satyagraha. So the tiger launches satyagraha means over here is the tiger started its resistance and refused to get out of the car. Seems very funny, but when he was pushed into, but now the tiger does not wanted to leave the car in such a situation. Now the Diwan was thoroughly exhausted. So thoroughly he was very exhausted. He was very tired in his effort to haul the beast out of the car, to drag the beast, to drag the wild animal out of the car, to drag the tiger out of the car and push it down to the ground. Now on the following day, on the next day, the same old tiger wandered. The same old tiger roamed in front of the Maharaja's presence, and that the Maharaja took a careful aim at the beast actually, and the tiger fell in a crumbled heap. So it seems as if the tiger shot the tiger king shot the tiger, and the tiger fell onto a crumbled heap, into a crushed heap, might be of hay or grass or something, which would be over there. And in such a situation, he was very happy. The king was very happy, and he wrote, "I have killed the 100 tiger. My vow has been fulfilled. My oath has been fulfilled, and the Maharaja was overcome with elation. Elation means happiness. His heart was filled with joy simply because he had filled his vow, he has filled his oath, what he had committed, and he was able to fulfill that, and he had killed the tiger, it seems, over here. Now, ordering the tiger to be brought to the capital in the grand procession. So, a grand procession was kept and it was taken into the way so that people could see the 100 tiger that was killed, and the Maharaja was able to fulfill the oath. And so Maharaja hastened away in his car. Later on, what happened? Hasten means quickly. Not even seeing whether the tiger has really died or not, the Maharaja quickly left away. Simply thought, Maharaja thought that he actually has killed the tiger, but it wasn't so. Now moving ahead into the last paragraph on page number 15. After the Maharaja left, the hunters which were along with the Maharaja, they actually went closer, looked at the tiger. When they saw, the tiger looked back at them, rolling its eyes. My dear students, the tiger hadn't actually died over at that point of time, and the tiger was still alive. We come to know by this particular sentence. So the tiger looked back at them, rolling its eyes in bafflement and great confusion, and the men really realized that the tiger was not dead. And they were sure that the tiger is actually not dead, and the bullet had actually missed it, and the bullet did not actually hit the tiger. What happened? We come to know the bullet had actually missed it, and it had fainted only. The tiger had fainted only. You can say from the shock of the bullet, from the shock of the bullet whizzing past. Whizzing past means which just moved quickly past through the air from near the body. Hearing the sound of the bullet, actually the tiger actually fainted, and the hunter wondered what they should do in such a situation. The hunter thought what they should do in such a situation, and they decided that the Maharaja must not come to know that that he had missed his target. Now they thought it would not be good to tell the Tiger King that he hasn't killed the tiger. It is something going against the prestige of the king, that he wasn't able to kill that tiger, and the tiger is still alive. And if they do so in such a situation of telling the king, their jobs might, these people of these hunters might lose their jobs in such a situation. So one of the hunters took an aim from a distance of 1 foot and shot the tiger. So one of the hunters take an aim and they shot the tiger, and the tiger was shot, and the tiger, this tiger was not dead. Now one of the hunters took aim from a distance of 1 foot, shot the tiger. This time he killed without missing his mark. Now, my dear student, this time this particular hunter who killed after the leaving of the king, another hunter who was in the team of the king of hunters, he actually killed the real tiger, and the king did not kill the 100th tiger. We come to know this. Now moving ahead, so then as commanded by the king, the dead tiger was taken in a procession. It was brought in a parade or a march. So, and the parade and the march was done throughout the whole town, and then later on the tiger was buried and a tomb was erected over it. In such a situation, a few days later, the Maharaja's son's 3rd birthday was celebrated. So Maharaja had a son, and that was about 3 years old, and he wasn't able to celebrate the 1st and the 2nd birthday, and it was about then the Maharaja's son's 3rd birthday was celebrated, until the Maharaja had given his entire mind over to tiger hunting, and the Maharaja thought that he would leave tiger hunting, and he did so, and he had no time to spare for the crown prince. And my dear students, that he did not had actually time for his own crown prince. So that is why. But now the king turned attention to his own child. He wanted to spend some time with his own son. Now he wished to give him some special gift on his birthday, just because he was celebrating his 1st birthday. What he would have been celebrating, it was actually the 3rd birthday of the child, but it was the 1st birthday of the father, the Tiger King, which he was celebrating actually. So that is why he wanted to give some wonderful gift to his own son, and that is why he went to the shopping center in Pratibandhapuram and searched each and every shop, whichever he could find, to get the very best of the things he could find, but couldn't find anything suitable. According to him, there was nothing suitable that could be given, actually, at all, something which could be given to his son. Finally, he spotted a wooden tiger, simply because the man had the same thing, that he had killed his tiger, and he wanted to present the same thing in such a situation. Finally, he spotted a wooden tiger in a toy shop, and he decided that it would be a perfect gift for his own son. And so the wooden tiger cost only 2 annas and a quarter. Now, my dear students, let me tell you that annas is actually a form of monetary unit of India and Pakistan, which is equal to about 1/16th of a rupee. And the wooden tiger cost only 2 annas and a quarter. But the shopkeeper knew that if he quoted such a low price to the Maharaja, he would be punished under the rules of emergency. And so he said, "Your Majesty, this is an extremely rare example of craftsmanship, and a bargain of 300 rupees, and it's lovely. It was actually very, very cheap, but just because the shopkeeper saw that the king had come to take this toy from him, and although it was a wooden piece of toy, but just because he was a king, so that is why he kept the price very high, and he said, Your Majesty, this is a very extremely rare example of craftsmanship. It would be better if you buy it, and it would be a good buy for you. It would be good value for you, my dear king, and it's a bargain at 300 rupees. So the thing which was actually not more than 2 annas and a quarter. So the shopkeeper sold the whole wooden toy tiger to the Tiger King at 300 rupees, which is very, very much. In such a situation, very good. Let this be your offering to the crown prince on his birthday. And said the king, took it away from him. And on that day, father and son played with that little wooden tiger. Both the father and the son played with that little wooden tiger, my dear students. Now it had been carved out by an unskilled carpenter, and its surface was actually rough. It wasn't smooth, it was actually rough. And tiny slivers of wood stood up. Slivers means actually splinters of flakes of wood. So that actually stood up on that particular wooden tiger, and it stood up like quills all over it. Quills means sharp spines. So that we see over here that the splinters were actually just like sharp spines all over the toy tiger. And one of these slivers, one of these splinters of flakes actually pierced the Maharaja's right hand, and he pulled it out with his left hand and continued to play it again with his son, with the prince. Now the next day, the whole infection spread in the Maharaja's right hand. Flared means spread in the Maharaja's right hand, and 4 days it developed into a separating sore. Separating means macerated sore. Macerated or which forms pus, you can say, my dear students. Sore means swollen. Swollen due to some kind of wound over here, and we came to know that it actually developed into a whole sore. It swelled up, and there was pus in it. And in such a situation, such kind of situation, 3 famous surgeons were brought in from Madras, and after holding a consultation, they decided to operate. Yes, it's better to operate this whole thing and to remove it. And what happened, my dear students? After holding a consultation, they decided to operate, and the operation took place. And what happened, my dear students, is really very funny over here. The 3 surgeons who performed the operation came out of the operation theater and said that the operation was successful, but the Maharaja is dead over here. So we come to know that the Maharaja did not actually die due to the live tiger. It was actually the death that actually came to him by a wooden toy tiger. So the whole thing was in vain, we come to know over here, and was something which was not required. and he should have been living bravely all throughout his life, and he shouldn't have killed so many of the tigers which he actually killed in his life. And in this manner, the 100th tiger took his final revenge. So, in this way, we come to know that the 100th tiger was, for the king, was a wooden tiger and not a real tiger, which took its final revenge upon the Tiger King. And this is how the Tiger King actually died and was not able to complete his vow, actually, or oath, actually, what he took it before the state astrologer. With this, we come to the end of this chapter and this particular part 5th of Tiger King. Thank you.